think so. Okay, there's that. Oh. One button too many. There we go. Okay, all right. Boom. And live streaming. That's where the TikTok is. Okay. There it goes. All right. Haha. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the forest. Okay, so I think it says excellent connection. I think we're doing all right. In the forest, Monkey Butt is hiding behind me here. Monkey, come on. Get over here. Come on. Come to your thingy, or go in your hole, or whatever. Come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, and you just knocked the table and spilled the water all over me. So now I'm in the forest and I'm wet. All right, she's going in her hole. Okay, so, hello. Welcome. It's Thursday. I didn't do a show. So, what's happening in the news? We got the powers that be claim the yen carry trades are all done, but it looks like there's about $20 trillion worth. And there's a couple of banks and hedge funds specifically that are like super doomed. Dario was alluding to a couple of those. We have what else is happening? Ryan Cohen responded to Bratia and made it abundantly clear that he has no case, that Bratia is toast, and that they were shorting the company and doing things the opposite of what they were claiming. And they also showed that the plan man doesn't have the ability to sue him because of the cooperation agreement that was signed. That's basically like, yeah, we're agreeing not to ever sue you for anything there, Ryan, if you know, because we're partners. So that, I think that whole thing is getting tossed. What else is happening? Russia is getting absolutely embarrassed on their home turf. Ukraine is now at like 1,000 square miles of Russian territory, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but it is a couple 100,000 people. And that's embarrassing. You're a nuclear power, and your little neighbor. It'd be like if Canada carved out like a giant chunk of, I don't know, Maine or something, which is like, this is ours now. The United States would freak the fuck out and level Canada, right? Russia's been trying to level their Canada for a long time, and they cannot. So, absolutely just hilarious. Oh, and I'm wearing a lovely shirt sent to me by Low B. I'm under the sea. Look at this. Got little sea stars and jellyfish, and there's like crabs and shit on here. Kelp forest. Yeah. Cephalopods. So, is that what I got? I got no, and I'm outside, so I'm on the laptop, so I have no intros on this one. So, intros will be butterflies landing on flowers and telling us we're all in this together. There we go. Intro done. Pish posh. Monkey, anything to add? No, can't even see you in the monkey cam because now this thing's in the way. Oh, no, you don't even move. You can stay right there. You just be comfortable. Unless you want to come up here. Do you want to come up here? You can come up here. I can adjust the camera. Yeah? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? Okay. Camera adjustment coming. Whoop. How's that? Monkey cam. There we go. Okay. So, to the phones. GDC was first. I think you're second first. Louis throwing up some pictures. Lexington Productions was third. Lexington Productions says, Houston, will the delisting of MMAT affect NextBridge hydrocarbons? Do you see a resolution to MMTOP this year? MMAT has no impact on MMTOP NextBridge. It looks like they sold all of their credit and their shares to McCabe. So McCabe owns everything that MMAT once had. My guess is that was part of the fire sale that Uzi was orchestrating. Like, let's get rid of everything of value to destroy this company. MMAT filed for Chapter 7. They're liquidating. They're toast. They're done. The one thing may happen, and if the bankruptcy shares get super duper cheap, I'm talking like they get delisted, they're going to be in the pink sheets, they're going to be like fractions of a penny, right? Is that I might pick up an absolute buttload of them at fractions of a penny. And when I do so, I will hope that maybe when NextBridge gets resolved, right? Because remember, if you owned Torchlight, 2 Torchlight, you got 1 MMTLP, or sorry, 1 MMAT, which means if you were short Torchlight before the merger, right, you owe half an MMAT share for every one you were short. So if the price on NextBridge goes freaking nuts and they've got to close positions, they're going to also have to go into the OTC and purchase these worthless shares of MMAT to be able to give out to everyone regardless, because they still owe that. So if it doesn't get like ultimately removed from the market and remains as a zombie stock for a while, then I may jump in there when it's like fractions of a penny and just buy like millions of them, hoping that they've got to go out and get these things. And what it comes down to, because it's going to be really, really weird numbers, because they did the 1 to 100 reverse split. So that would mean they would owe 50 shares for every, I don't know, something ridiculous, whatever. But that might be something I do. I'll look at the prices and see if one's on the pink sheets it goes to like sub penny somewhere in there and deal with it. But in the long shot, MMAT is thoroughly destroyed. The shorts won. They won straight up. They dismantled the company. They fired everyone. They sold off everything of value. They abandoned all their patents. They stopped paying on their headquarters, and they sold everything off. That's how a short hedge fund wins in this game, and they did exactly that. I hope that in bankruptcy, whoever the administrator or receiver is, I'm not sure in Chapter 7 how it works, but they sue the crap out of the board. Might as well do a class action as shareholders against the board and be like, hey, you violated your fiduciary responsibilities and frauded us pretty good. And that might last for years, but you know what? Fuck them, right? We've been waiting years to do all sorts of other things, so may as well get something, may as well squeeze something out of these assholes while we can. Okay. Snurtlert, oi, Houston, will everything crash before or after the Trump trial on September 18th? Thanks in advance. I don't know. Trump did file today to request that his sentencing happen after the election. I highly doubt that the judge is going to do that. He already moved it once because of the Supreme Court decision, so he could review and see if the charges against him fell under the immunity clause that the Supreme Court gave him, and he ruled that it did not. So he's going to be sentenced on September 18th. I don't think this judge is particularly keen to give Trump any benefit of the doubt, especially since Trump said that he would be willing to flee to Venezuela if he loses the election, which means he'd be willing to flee and avoid incarceration. So I still think that on the 18th, Trump gets contempt, as well as whatever sentence he gets from his crimes. And if he gets contempt or remanded for contempt, that means they take him immediately and they put him into custody, and he cannot appeal. He's just under arrest, and he goes to jail and remains there forever the term of his contempt is. And if the contempt is, a day, he's there for a day. If it's a month, he's there for a month. If it's a couple of months, then he misses the election, and he's behind bars for then. And he might get out after contempt, being released on bail for the rest of the sentencing of his crimes. I don't know if it'd be served concurrently in that case, or if it would be not concurrently. What's the other term? Whatever. But yeah, that's happening one way or the other. Will everything crash before then? They're really, really, really trying for a soft landing. The problem is commercial real estate keeps collapsing. These pension funds that were funding all of it keep vaporizing. The local banks, now we're left with the responsibility for everything, keep getting destroyed as well. The emergency, oh my gosh, what's the term? The emergency loan doohickey that banks can have. The emergency funding like had its biggest spike ever last night at like $34 billion. I just think that they're going to try to stretch this thing out as best they can, but at some point something's got to give. And I think the giving is going to come later in the year when banks really have to start writing off all this commercial real estate. So there's just too many trillions of dollars of it coming due by the end of the year, and you just can't put that off. You're going to have to take your write-downs. You're going to have to take your tax breaks. You have to admit to your depositors that, yeah, your money's gone. And now we own a whole bunch of real estate that we can't do anything with because nobody works in offices anymore. So I'm not really sure how it's going to go down, everyone, but I think it's going to be pretty poorly. Okay, Justin G. Barron Trump laundry aired, and somehow I'm not surprised. Yeah, it came out in piles today. I don't know if you guys have read any of it, but Barron, according to a nanny from his kid's school, Barron tortured and killed animals. Bunnies, puppies, cats, like a little psychopath. Attacked children, attacked his nanny, attacked his dad at a Christmas concert, molested a child at a sleepover. I've not had multiple verification sources, but it is starting to be written up in publications. The fact that Barron teamed up with Martin Shkreli to do the Trump coin rug pull on everyone tells me that either he's easily manipulated by someone like Martin Shkreli or he's an asshole just like Martin Shkreli. I mean, he made $200 million on it. That's at like 17 years old. So he's got plenty of money now. And I don't know if you guys have ever had to like deal with a physical altercation with a psychopath, but when they're 6'7", 6'8", that's a lot of meat to have to deal with in a psychopath. So, yeah. Interesting. The stuff I read about his high school in Florida was that he just kept to himself, never really talked to anyone. But this stuff coming out from his younger childhood, this could be, they're saying that his mom was drinking heavily and that they're effectively divorced for a couple of years. And then in 2015, like kind of got back together for the election. Then you can see that you've seen the video footage of her like slapping Trump's hand away when he tries to hold her hand and be like, get the fuck away from me. And doing like the fake smile and then turning away and be like, ugh. And then, there's the rumors about Trump having a Melania double that would follow him around who was like 4 inches shorter than Melania. Say what it is. It seems to me that kind of shit just runs in that family. Lone Wolf, this is what I think about No Labs. As good as their device might be, I don't see hospitals adopting it. If it can't give a numerical glucose level, you can't dose insulin. It does give a numerical glucose level. That's what it does. It literally tells you the parts per million in your bloodstream. In the reports they have not put that specific detail into the report writing, but it does. It gives you the parts per million of glucose in your bloodstream. Lone Wolf, also same for at-home use. The tech is intriguing, but without numerical reading. It does the numerical reading. GDC, how cool would it be if the judges in the various frivolous BBBY lawsuits actually, did their jobs and dismissed the cases? I think that's coming. It's just that caseloads in America are so gigantic, it takes forever to get anything done. I was reading about the sentences for the rioters in England, the white supremacists who were trying to burn down hotels and businesses and stuff. These guys were just thrown in jail. Granted, they pled guilty, which, if you plead guilty, you plead guilty. But even in the U.S., you have your arraignment, you can plead not guilty, and then you can remain out of jail for a long time. And if you do plead guilty, it can be weeks or months until you're actually sentenced. So, because the caseloads are so big in the U.S., it's really, 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 really hard to find moments where you can schedule this stuff. I don't know if you ever had to go to court for anything, but you'll go and there'll be 20 cases having hearings before yours, and it's phenomenal. Like, be like, oh my, that's what's going. Oh, that person is getting evicted from the house. Oh, that person is being sued for this thing, and you listen to all the arguments and everything, and then but those aren't even trials. Those are just like pre-trial hearings to establish certain pieces of discovery and whatnot. There's just so much going on in U.S. courts that they're always just like overloaded. So, I think they'll be dismissed. Just, I want Ryan to get rule of sanctions for these dismissals. Pay him for his time. Why not? Punish these guys a little bit. Matthew Jackson. Sorry if it's been discussed before, but how did the guy do buying those calls on Cutter? That was sad boy. He made his money and then bought a whole bunch of no labs with it. It'll probably pop up here in the chat. Copy paste here. Fabrizio's plopping in here. Brandon Wells is here. GDC says, could we potentially be entering the greatest 4-month period in history of mankind? Moas, Diaper Don in jail, Kamala winning, Russia losing, etc. What is the best 4-ish month period in history? Oh. What would be the best 4 months in history? Best 4 months? I never really thought about that. Like the best quarter ever. I know we've had periods where like, oh, looks like Monkey killed some. Oh no, she didn't. Looks like we've had periods where just it's rained shit for 4 months at a time. But we've ever had like 4 really good months in a row. I don't know. This 4-month period might be outweighed by the fact that the economy collapses. So, but then again, we've been expecting it to collapse for like 2 years now, because we've had nothing but terrible indicators showing that it should collapse, and it just hasn't so far. My crystal ball still says Putin's dead by the end of the year. So, see what we make of that. Is the video herky-jerky for you guys? It seems a little herky-jerky for me. Doesn't seem to be flowing that smooth at the moment. But, we got, what do we got? Looks like somebody's doing some donations here. Oh, and I missed a super chat. Oh my goodness. Not popping up. Why is it not popping up? There you go. Super chat. Don't see you shade him. Will Apophis destroy the Earth? When will it arrive? Google is inconsistent. Apophis is the one is that the one supposed to arrive in like 2037? Let me look this guy up real quick. Asteroid. Oops, that would help if I actually typed it into the field. Asteroid Apophis. Okay. 375 meters across, a cruise. It'll pass Earth within 32,000 kilometers in 2029. So it'll pass between us and the moon, basically. That is very close. That's about the distance to geosynchronous satellites. Should be visible in naked eye, clear dark skies for around 2 billion people across much of Europe, Africa, and parts of Asia. So if you're going to see it, you're going to be in that part of the world. It's going to go flying by. So it's not going to destroy the Earth. If it does, for some reason, get nudged into the Earth, and that's pretty darn close space-wise, it would definitely wipe out a good chunk of area. 370 meters is, 1,000 feet across, more or less. That's a big asteroid. That'll wipe out a city. And some good area after that, throw a bunch of dust up in the air. But you're going to need something that's probably in the miles across to extinct the Earth at this point. So April 13th, 2029. That's what we're looking for. And looks like Louie's gifting some memberships here. Rose Moon got one. Murph and Turf got one. GDC, Jeff Riggs, and Jethro all got lurker fished. Excellent. Okay. Back to this one. Okay, back to that stream. Okay. John Castro is another weird roaring kitty move. I don't know. Are you talking about the having moas.com direct to Roaring Kitty's YouTube page? I don't know if it's him. I doubt it is. I think it's somebody else because he used to direct to a BBBY page. So my guess is somebody just like tip tap click and this had it go to Roaring Kitty's page for the heck of it. I don't think it was Roaring Kitty himself. There's lots of rumors that Roaring Kitty is behind a whole bunch of call options on Sirus Radio. I read the tinfoil and I go, okay, that kind of makes sense. And I look at Sirus Radio number-wise. They're doing a reverse split, which is going to shrink the float, which usually isn't good for people when they do that, but they're doing it. But the float is huge. It's billions and billions and billions of shares, which is not the meme stock MO. Normally you want a small float controlled by a whole bunch of retail investors, and this is a very, 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 very large float. It does look like Warren Buffett's buying up a bunch of the shares. There are the 5,000 call option orders going through. We did have like a weird after hours. It went from like 270 to 330 and then just came back down again. So there are things happening with it, but I don't know. I don't know if RK has anything to do with it or not at this point. Click on you. There we go. Just from DAX, do you think any red state will flip blue or vice versa? I don't think there's going to be states that were blue the last election who are going to go deeply red. I think that the Midwest swing states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, I think those are going blue. There's a chance that Ohio flips blue. Georgia might be a battleground. North Carolina might go blue. And Harris is doing a huge push in Texas and Florida. I think she sees that the margin of error is small enough that she can go in there and push people to one side or the other. I think in Florida, people are seeing Ron DeSantis just destroy their state, and their housing insurance is getting so high that it's becoming unaffordable. Like, you're just going to get wiped out by a hurricane, and then that's it. Everything you own is gone. Your home resale values are plummeting. Homes are on the market for too long. Your school systems are starting to suck ass. Your colleges are starting to suck ass. You can't find people to do any contracting work because he scared away all the immigrant labor. The farmers are losing their crops in the field because no one's willing to work for them. So the state economy is really kind of tenuous as a result of Ron DeSantis' policies. And I think that's putting Rick Scott in harm. So Rick Scott might lose in Florida. If Rick Scott loses in Florida, that might mean Trump loses in Florida as well. So Harris has sent like 2,600 staff to Florida and almost an equal amount to Texas, where she's within a margin of error in Texas. And the hurricane response from Greg Abbott, who, well, no response basically. He was in Korea doing a victory lap for chip factories opening in Texas. They were opened because Biden passed the chips legislation. And so his state gets wiped out by a hurricane. People have no power and are flooded and are dying. And he's not in the state, not doing anything. His lieutenant governor isn't doing anything. So I think dropping the ball enough times the past few years might make people go, you know what, maybe this is what we want. So I think Florida and Texas are on the bubble. I think Ohio's definitely closer to flipping. But I don't see anything flipping red at the moment. I don't see Arizona doing it. I don't see Nevada doing it. I don't see Virginia doing it. I don't see Pennsylvania doing it. I don't know. I have a feeling nationally, Harris at this point is going to win by about 10 points, if not more. And I think she can probably get close to 300 electoral votes at this point. If like the election were today, I think that's what happened. And we still have the convention bump coming later in the week. So the Democratic convention hasn't happened yet. And Harris's team, whatever her policies and politics are, they know how to use the internet. They are trolls to epic proportions. They opened a Truth Social account, and they only follow one person, Donald Trump. And the entire account, all it does is point out how they got more people at events than Trump did in the same venues. And what they're doing during the convention is their convention's in Chicago, and the night that I think Obama speaks, Harris and Walz go to the arena where the Republicans had their convention and are going to do a speech in front of a larger crowd than Trump did. And they're going to point out like, oh, we have more people than you, just to do narcissistic injury on Trump. But they released a press release today about Trump speaking at his new Bedminster golf course. That was just like, Trump at 4:30 p.m. today, Trump is going to incoherently babble for hours about nothing. It's just, they're trolling him hard. And that's their entire MO. They're going for narcissistic injury, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see them and what they're doing. Attending Oneness, Super Chats. What we got? Arizona, Missouri, Florida all have abortion on the ballot measures this November as well. Oh, then Arizona, Missouri, and Florida are going Democrats. That there hasn't been a Republican who's won anything if abortion is on the ballot. The turnout of women is gigantic. You look at a place like Kansas. Democrats cleaned house in Kansas when abortion was on the ballot. So Arizona, definitely going green. Missouri will probably flip then. Missouri had been a battleground state for a long time, and it's been solidly red. But if abortion is on the ballot, Democrats will win. In Florida, it's on the ballot in Florida, then the Democrats will win Florida too. That's just how it works. And Tony Oneness also says, independent running in Nebraska supposedly tied in polls for Senate race. Really? I'll have to check that out. The independent, who would the independent caucus with? I don't know. I'll have to look them up. Interesting, attaining Oneness. Oh, speaking of which, all of the June and July Charity Tuesday packages finally got shipped. I tried to ship them yesterday, and my little post office is just one lady, and her machine was down. I spent like 2 hours with her trying to reboot the machine and getting it working, but it wasn't printing labels. And they finally closed, and she's like, we're closed. And so they got somebody in overnight who fixed it, and everything got shipped out today. So those of you in Canada and Lithuania who are getting packages, expect the very, 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 very slow boat. I went for the cheapest possible on those. So who knows when you're going to get it? It's not going to be in the next couple of, you're not getting airmailed, man. It is going slow. But Tending Oneness, I believe you got the sticky, cleaner, gooey thing. So that should be heading to you. Okay. Mossy Habitat. How and when did you first discover No Labs? Speculation as Apple could be one of No Labs' main competitors. Do you think No Labs can compete? Apple has said that they're going to try and get a blood glucose monitor out there in their Apple Watch. They're probably working on optical technology, which so far has only worked on white people and not people with any melanin in their skin. I know about No Labs because I've known Ron for years. He's a buddy of mine. And I was going to do a project with them and get a PhD through South Queensland University, and then COVID hit, and well, couldn't go to Australia, and I didn't do my project. So I've known about them for a decade. So yeah, that's how I know about them. Can they compete? Yes, because what they're going for is FDA approval as a medical device. If they get FDA approval as a medical device, then insurance can cover the cost of their device, and then they're just rolling it after that. Attaining Oneness, Super Chats. The independent running in Nebraska ran the labor strike against Kellogg and sweet on my sticky cleaner. Excellent. Okay, so a pro-union guy. That's definitely going to be a... Whoa. It wasn't a widowmaker. It was a little branch. It just fell. Gotta be aware when you hear that crack sound. Just okay, cool. Okay, and Mossy Habitat. Perhaps their patents make them juicy acquisition target for other industry players who have better handle on device manufacturing, market penetration. I don't think that they're in the game to get acquired by somebody. I think they see themselves as a $100 billion company who can use this technology in other areas and expand from there. National security, other medical fields, mining, stuff like that. So just imagine like you are a mine operator. You've got 2,500 kilometers of tunnels in your giant mine system, and you could take this device and you could point at the walls and figure out where gold veins are just by pointing at the walls without having to do drilling. You could look 100 feet into the wall and you go, oh, we're going to make a tunnel that way and get a bunch more gold. So this is the type of stuff this device could be used for. They're just doing a glucose monitor first because it has a guaranteed market. And you have that guaranteed market, you're going to make money off subscription fees, and then you're going to be able to fund all sorts of research and development into all these other fields. It's things like a tricorder device, basically. So you can point it at someone, and you know what the THC levels are in their bloodstream, if they have, what viruses they have flowing around in them, right? If they have tumors, you can. All you do is you just tune the apparatus to the resonant frequency of the particular compound, molecular atom you're looking for, and it will send it back to you. So it's pretty phenomenal technology. It's just that the FDA device is the first thing that they're coming out with, because that will net them billions of dollars they can then use as for research development into the other markets they can go into. Murph and Turf Studios was planning to ask you a question, and when going through old lives, you answered it randomly. So now I will ask you, do you have a favorite episode or bit from Red Dwarf TV show? My favorite Red Dwarf episode ever is the Luck Virus. That one is my favorite. They go to a wreck. They find that there's this lab, and then this doctor has been working on all sorts of different viruses, and they discover that there's good viruses and bad viruses. Like you get a cold, that's a bad virus. But some days you just have nothing but good luck, right? And it happens to be that you got infected with the luck virus, and things just go your way that day because your body is battling the good vibes virus. And they have to lock themselves into quarantine because they got exposed to all these viruses, and it's hilarious. Like, I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but it's one of my favorite episodes of all time. It's a brilliant one. Steve Dyson, oops, happy birthday. Houston, do you think RC will wait to move on GME until after the elections? I don't see any reason why he would wait till after the elections. Pondering of them more. There's no point. Just like do your business things and get them done. I do think that he'll wait for a bulk of the $4 billion that he's sitting on to be used until prices collapse in a recession. That kind of makes sense. That's exactly what Warren Buffett is doing currently. Although I do think he has things in the works, and I do think Bed Bath & Beyond is one of those things that we're just waiting for all the court cases to get out of the way, bankruptcy to be finalized, all of the the creditors to either be paid, or if Ryan Cohen happens to control a whole bunch of the debt, to go, I'll do a credit bid now and forgive everything, and then emerge as this debt-free entity with a whole bunch of nulls. So that's what I think anyway. And that'll happen whenever the bankruptcy case and everything else gets done. GDC seems to agree with you. He thinks no labs will get acquired. Julius Miami, RFK Jr. wants to come on your show. Feels unwanted by basically everyone. So, if you haven't read the headlines, RFK Jr. called Trump, and he's like, "Hey man, can I be your attorney general? I'll drop out and endorse you." Trump's like, "Eh." And then he called Kamala yesterday. He's like, "Hey, if I drop out and endorse you, could I have a position in your administration?" She's like, click. So, and then he also said today that he easily falls prey to misinformation on the internet. He's like, yeah, I fall for it all the time. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm incredibly gullible. Maybe it's the worm in my brain. Yeah. So Javier Martinez says, audio good. Phew, because I did not check to see if people were yelling at me that they couldn't hear me or not. The video, on my side, the video looks really herky-jerky, like it's about 5 frames a second. So So hopefully it's streaming better than that, but my computer is probably cooking right now. It did download like 9 million updates, and it keeps saying like, hey, we want to restart, and I'm not letting it because I'm out here in the woods. Hey, monkey, what you got? Did you find anything? Did you find anything, monkey? Should we show the monkey dog? The monkey cam over here? Oh, where is she? There she is. She's a forest dog doing forest things. I'm a little too close to the camera when I have to reach for this one. All right, back to there. Okay, so Joe says Trump 24, maybe 20 to 24. Boris Raspy. Oh shoot! And the chat just reset. Sorry, Boris. Boris. Where'd you go, Boris? There we go. All right, Boris Raspy. Can you talk about AMC? AMC literally looks like it's about to break out and squeeze 55. I don't think it is. If it goes to 10, Adam Aaron's diluting another 100 million shares. So he won't let it get to 55. So I just don't see him allowing that to happen. Maybe it will. You can gamble on some options or get some shares, but if it sees any upward movement whatsoever that's like good, Adam Aaron will dilute like crazy, and I just don't see it flying that high. They still have so much debt, and they won't be able to make a profit until they get rid of that debt, and that's why he's going to dilute and pay off debt. But like, he dilutes at such low prices that he can't pay off any significant amounts of debt. Like, if the stock is $5, he sells 100 million shares, then he makes $500 million. Okay, that's what, like 1/20th of their obligations. So he pays that off, and then the next time around, he's do it again. If he has to do it like dozens of times, he'll make any significant dent in their debt, blah, and it just won't allow for accumulation to happen, for that price action to really go forward. And before they did the reverse split, the stock price had to be over $23 in order for the shorts to be underwater, which is equivalent to $230 now, right? Basically, they did the reverse split, and they made it so every single person, whoever shorted the company, is in the green. And they'll be in the green up until it's hundreds of dollars a share. So there's not really any big driver as far as shorts are concerned that will push that stock price up. Like, they'll force them to go in and buy. I don't really see that happening still. And anytime there was upward move, like, the price could be in the tens of dollars right now if Adam Aaron had done no dilution whatsoever. If he had not touched it, the price could be at $15-20, right? And then he could dilute at $15-20 all the shares that he meant to, and probably pay off their entire debt, or at least of $3 or $4 billion of it. But he's been diluting at $3 and $5 so consistently that it's kept that price just way down. I don't know. I just don't see AMC doing anything impressive in the near term. Maybe someday, if they get rid of all their debt. But right now, Rose Moon, Houston. Last night I had a dream. It was the zombie apocalypse, and you were there to decipher a past scientist's findings on how to survive. I was glad to be in your apocalypse group. All right. I don't have zombie apocalypse dreams. I do have alien invasion dreams, though. I don't know if I've ever had a zombie apocalypse dream, but I have had alien invasion dreams, and I'm always in a forest like this, like hiding out, trying like little bunkers and things, like a fern forest, and this is like our domain because like the aliens are scared of the forest, and so we live out here. But not a zombie apocalypse one, as far as I can remember. Paratarian, Houston. Given Tim Wall's history with cannabis legalization, do you think the cannabis industry is going to boom in the next 4 years? I think that they are decriminalizing it. I think they are moving it down as a scheduled narcotic, and that once these pot growers and pot shops can start using banks, then there's going to be some serious money to be made. Because right now it's expensive and a pain in the ass because everything has to be in cash, and dealing with cash is a nightmare. I have a friend that does security for pot shops here in the Northwest. You know, they've got these like armored vehicles. You touch the door handles, you get electrocuted. They've got gun turrets that pop out, and so they have like these giant suburban type SUVs that are all bulletproofed. And they go to the farm, and they pick up the pot, and they take the pot to a warehouse where then it gets like packaged and all this stuff, and they take it from the warehouse to the pot shop, where they give the pot to the pot shop, and the pot shop gives them like millions of dollars in cash, and they take that cash to a warehouse storage facility. It's like a mini Fort Knox, where just this cash gets piled up. And I don't know how many of the cash depots there are, but there's a lot of them, and like multiple pot shops and growers and stuff will utilize the same one. So it's sort of like a bank in that, like, this cage has all the money for, you know, Joe Blow's pot shop, and this one has for Smokey McGee's, you know, pot emporium, and this one is for Agate Dreams, and this one is for, you know, Paper and Leaf, and this one's for, you know, High Life McGife or whatever. And so you're like palletizing the cash because there's so much of it, and you aren't legally allowed to put it into a bank. So imagine this might be what kind of saves some regional banks, right? Imagine you suddenly allow them to bank this money, and they take all of it out of the warehouses and dump them into your local and community banks. And all of a sudden you have like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in cash infusion into these local banks because pot's now legal. So save the banking industry, make pot legal. And then, you know, their employees can get checks rather than like fistfuls of cash. The robberies at these stores will go down. Because like what's happening in the Northwest a lot is they'll steal a car. They'll steal someone's like Ford Windstar, and they'll drive it through the front door of the pot shop, and they'll steal all the pot and a whole bunch of cash and then take off. Because, you know, it's cash rich, right? There's going to be a bunch of cash there. So you can take the cash out of it, make those places safer, have the banks have a lot more in deposits than they ever expected. All you have to do is just make it legal. So yeah, I think the industry can have a huge boom in the next 4 years if that's the case. Thrasher Crasher, oh, Houston is too far into the forest. Am I? Paratarian, any updates? And no Labs still haven't hopped aboard yet, but wary of those pesky biotech stocks. They did their earnings yesterday. Of course, they had losses because they don't have a product yet. They're all spent. It's all R&D because, you know, they're paying for these huge clinical trials, and so. But they finished their most recent round of fundraising, so they have another $3.5 million in cash, and they alluded to the fact that everything they're doing now is preparing for FDA application. So there you go. That's the news. Wheat Wild. Good night. I'm off to Greece next month. It'll be epic and wonderful. Everything Tether isn't. Have a good time in Greece. Yeah, Chris Taylor, nice shirt. Thank Low B. This is a Low B shirt here. Coffee Donuts and Homer. Any thoughts as to RC working with the shorts to close out the short positions? He's a businessman who secured $4 billion to save his company. I mean, he was under oath in the Bhatia case saying, they asked him, like, do you hate the shorts? He's like, yes, I do. So he's under oath saying he hates the shorts. So if he's working with them, he's going to be in trouble. Now, if he's worked with any of them, I would say it's going to be Carl Icahn, because Icahn did have a $700 million short position on GameStop when it was at like $300 a share. And if he's doing a deal with them over mergers, acquisitions, etc., he may be like, okay, we'll help you unravel your $700 million obligation. And, you know, he sold 120 million shares on the market. Maybe Icahn was among those and unraveled his short position. So, yeah. Monkey Butt, what do you think? Yeah, she's a forest dog. Coffee Donuts and Homer. Ironic that the 75 million dilution voids the DRS movement. 45 million was icing on the cake. That does smart a bit, doesn't it? But it is weird that like institutions didn't really have. You didn't see institutions their holdings grow by 75 million shares or 120 million shares. So it was retail who bought up most of that. That's interesting. I eat spam stickers, says Louis. Yogi, if when MMAC gets the pennies, I'd love if retail DRS to float. What's that, like 6 cents or something now? Then it's really far down there. It is stupendously tiny. Daphne, how late am I? You're only 10 minutes late there, Daphne. But I am now 47 minutes behind. Something like that. Daedalus, I've lost somewhere in the story. Who's the plan man? The plan man is Goldberg, the plan administrator for the liquidating trust of Bed Bath & Beyond. He is trying to claw back as much money as he can for the estate, or to pay off the estate's obligations. So he is suing the former board members for breach of fiduciary duty. He's trying to take over the Team B lawsuits against Ryan Cohen, although those keep getting tossed. So that's who he is. Don't see you shit him here. Nico Daro's here. Emergency discount window. Thank you, Julius. That's the one I was looking for. My brain kept wanting to do bank term financing, but that's the one that finished in March, which a whole bunch of money is due for, by the way. They have to pay off a whole bunch of the bank term financing program money, I think, before next quarter, I believe. But yes, the emergency discount window. Thank you, Julius. That's the one that hit record highs of the amount of money that was borrowed yesterday. Alexander K. Houston, what does it mean if all our social security numbers are out in the world? But I hope be like a school of fish, and that there's so many social security numbers for them to copy and steal that you're okay. Or you can just have really terrible credit, so they regret ever trying to steal your identity in the first place. That's the two solutions. But yeah, every single social security number ever issued has been stolen. 2.9 billion records, something like that, meaning everyone dead and alive who has ever had a social security number. Their social security number is now in the public domain, stolen by hackers. And the rest of the whole country's like, well, what are you gonna do? So it should make for some interesting times in the future. Like, are they gonna go through and credit check? You know, be like, okay, I'll select this number, credit check them, and see if we can steal identity or not. And if all of a sudden you see like millions of $55 payments to credit bureaus to check someone's credit, they might be able to pinpoint who stole all those numbers. Senate Sapien, Houston. Have you read Jake Dubie's tweet? Can you explain them, please? I've read a lot of them. I don't know one specifically that you want me to read. Let's go to... Come on, website. Okay, it's sort of loading. Let's go to Spoho. Jake 2B. I don't know which one you want me to read. We have a whole bunch here. Go there. Go there. Come on. Open up. You can do it. You can do it. Now do it. There we go. Okay. So, here we are. We're there. He hasn't tweeted for a few hours. He's talking about share cancellation and that the shares have to be canceled in order for new shares to be reissued, and that a large part of why they did the share cancellation is because the DTCC has on record hundreds of millions of more shares than actually were probably distributed. This is where RC does a post-hearing brief pointing out that Bhatia is a complete fraudster. And this one. Okay, that one doesn't really seem like okay. This is the Hudson Bay being sued by the plan man for violating 16B violations, and HBC says it didn't violate 16B violations, so I have no idea where that one's going to go. I don't know what else. doesn't seem. I mean, there's neat things in there, but I don't think there's anything too difficult to see or explain. Jape. I think they're very close to exposing Legion Partners' involvement with BBBY fraud. I don't know enough about Legion Partners at all to even know what you're talking about in that one, but send me some info if you got any. Galenus, WTF Baron. WTF indeed. Daphne, please take a moment to like and share the video. Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe. Forcefully go on your friends' computers, make them subscribe. It's a great way to do that. Guerrilla subscriptions. Jape says Legion was also short selling calls out to 2022. Stephen GW, Houston Jungle Edition. Yeah, it's pretty green out here. There's still a lot of leaves on the forest floor around me, but it's a green place. We just got forest galore. Just so much forest out here. Ferns and trees and ferns. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good space to be. I like it. I was hoping to be underneath this giant maple right here, because it's on an old cedar stump, or a cedar that fell, and then it's a nurse log that grew this giant. I mean, it's probably 8 feet across or more, giant maple, and it's gorgeous. And it's got all sorts of ferns and epiphytes and stuff growing on it. It's a good tree, but the signal won't reach that far, so I'm only like 60 feet into the forest from my house. You can see my house over yonder. There it is. It's hiding. So I'm not too deep in the forest. I don't have enough those Wi-Fi repeaters to get further. Only have one to get to the end of the yard. Man, the sun is really trying to kick my ass right now. Okay. Mossy Habitat. If there's 0 G at the center of planetary mass, could the orientation of Earth's core and eventual magnetic flipping be easily affected by the sun's polarity? Ooh. I have to do math on that. The Earth's core, problem with the Earth's core is that it's liquid. If you ever tried to spin a liquid, it's really difficult. I remember doing an experiment when I was in probably elementary school, and they gave us these little film canisters, and for those of you who are so young, pictures be taken on film, and you get in these little plastic cylinders, and you would use that to go get your film developed and whatnot. But we took these little film canisters and we filled some with water and some with sand and like some with like solid blocks, and you'd spin them, and you could see, inertia in action. So if you spun one that had a solid material in it, it spun really well. If you spun one that had loose material, it spun okay. If you spun one that had a liquid in it, it like couldn't spin. So the Earth is rotating. The Earth's got sloshy water. The Earth's got sloshy goo on the inside and the core, and it is a drag. It wants to just be where it is, and this constant spinning over the last several billion years has really just been like against the will of the goo in the middle. Now they're saying that the apparent rotation of the goo in the middle, the molten core, looks like it's going in reverse, meaning we're spinning, it's trying not to, so it looks like it's going in reverse to the Earth, to the Earth, from the apparent spin. And that happens every once in a while, and it like sloshes around, and the pole can flip as a result of that. And the pole flips happen every like 20,000 to 100,000 years, regardless of what's going on. Just goo being goo. Now, when you get to the center, there is no gravitational force. You are the center of gravity, which means everything's just going to squish you. But trying to figure out, like, is that enough so that the net force comes from the magnetic field of the sun? That's a good question. So that when you get like a big enough, like a Carrington event type thing, and it strips away much of the Earth's magnetic field, and these charges can go through the Earth's lithosphere. It might be onto something. I have to find some some equations to see if they can do calculations on that. That's a good question, though. You've had me pondering on that for a while. Paratarian Houston, when Dr. Becky discussion on black holes and galaxy formation. Oh yeah, I forgot about Dr. Becky. I think I sent her a message and never heard back. By all means, minions, work on it for me. Ask people, hey, want to come on the show? Paratarian says Sirus Radio is a distraction. It could be. I mean, if you bought calls yesterday morning at 2 cents, you could, or yesterday afternoon at 2 cents, you could have sold them today this morning at 14. 7 extra money right there. But it does seem like it's a distraction to me. Sirus is doing a reverse split. What's the ratio? I think that's a 10-to-1 ratio. I think they're doing. So they'll take their float from 3 billion to 300 million, which is much more in line with the meme stocks. But again, reverse floats generally don't work out for the investor. Poor Florida. Governor Whitner should snowbird in Florida and bring it back. Turkish wants to know where the money is, Wodowski. It's somewhere. Aaron Sounding, Houston, do you think the CEO of No Labs knows who is shorting the stock like crazy? He knows about the White Diamond research that came out last year, just basically slandering him and the entire company. I don't know if he knows specific hedge funds who are shorting it from there. It does seem like some of them are starting to unwind their shorts, just mainly because Sad Boy had like 300,000 shares that were being lent out, and all of a sudden last week all of them got returned, meaning they just closed their position and like So if they're getting close to FDA approval, like if they file for FDA approval, the stock price is going to double, maybe more, right? It's people go, oh well, shit, they're on it, and if they get FDA approval, it's going to it'll be up there somewhere at the top of this tree. So yeah. Hazel A says there's going to be a blue wave. I think there's a chance. There's a small chance the Democrats can take the Senate. I think they've got the House. I think they're taking the House for sure. The Senate, Rick Scott is looking really precarious. And if they knock Rick Scott out, it remains a 50-50 split. And then the vice president does what the vice president's been doing for the last couple of years, which is breaking the ties, casting the tiebreaker votes. So, yeah, it's a good chance that they knock Scott off. And if they manage to knock Ted Cruz off in Texas, then they will go for eliminating the filibuster. They will start, stalking the Supreme Court. They will do all sorts of things because I think Kamala Harris has much more stones and is not tied to like Senate tradition the way Biden was. People were telling Biden his first 2 years, like, you need to expand the court, push these conservatives of justice out because they're going to ruin everything. And he's like, oh no, we shouldn't do that. And then they started ruining everything. And now he's like, oh, maybe I should have done that. So that's why they're coming out with their overhaul, trying to make an 18-year term for justices, make them have binding ethics clauses, so they can't take millions of dollars in gifts from billionaires who have issues before the court and then not report them on their taxes and shit like that. I mean, some of these justices are breaking the law in a way that would get anyone else thrown in prison for tax evasion. So, like, just because you're a justice doesn't mean you should be immune to, breaking the law. So, I think Kamala Harris has much more prosecutorial stones in this case than Biden does, and that she sees doing it her way as the way. 317. I think this is going to be a three-way race. The independents have a candidate now with RFK Jr. Going to be a weird election. I don't know how much RFK is going to maintain of his base by the election, because it appears like he is completely out of his mind. So, like, I just don't see how much he's going to maintain. But I think he will take a good chunk of the QAnon people. There's some really strange infighting from the Groyper Nazi community, where they're very upset that Trump picked J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance's wife isn't white, and they see that as a complete affront to everything they believe in. So you got guys like Nick Fuentes who are now actively campaigning against Trump for his far-right people, which is, if you're a Republican, you can't win with a Nazi vote. You need the Nazi vote. That's like the strongest base you have. And if you lose the Nazi vote, well, then you're left with, like, the other people. Like, that's why you don't really see Republicans come out and, like, say the Confederacy was wrong, that Nazis are horrible. They go, I'm not really associated with them. But they never really come out and say that they're pieces of crap and no one should listen to them because they still need their vote. And so that's why you got guys like Tucker Carlson who really placate to them. And, that's what they do. To anyone, it's probably dumb to ask, but is the plot in the film The Core ever possible? Sci-fi film, came out in 2006. Oh, I saw it. The geologists everywhere laughed their asses off while watching it. No. The plot to The Core is not possible. Because the Earth spins. And if the Earth spins, that means we spin in relativity to the core, or the core spins itself. Regardless, it creates a magnetic field. So, saying the magnetic field shut down, we gotta go restart it with nuclear weapons, not plausible. The only way the core shuts down is if it freezes, like it did in Mars. So if the core freezes, it no longer has these free electrons flying around, and is no longer a spinning charge, and then the magnetic field disappears, which is why Mars is like a death trap, among many reasons. Also, unobtainium isn't possible, and being able to look through a window on your unobtainium ship in the core and being able to see out of it into the molten goo as if it is transparent does not happen as well. But, it's a terrible movie. It's got that going for it. So, yeah. All right. Snow Shadowfire likes Mossy Habitat's name. Cool name. Well, I'm in a Mossy Habitat right now. That maple next to me, the moss is gigantic. They say that moss only forms on the north side of things. It is so shady in most of this forest that this thing is covered in moss on the south side, the north side, all the sides. So, it is mossy. Rupert Trooper, do you think there's anything going on with Siri or Chewy? Siri, they're doing a reverse split. They're doing some sort of merger. Buffett did buy a bunch of shares, so things are going on with it. Chewy, I have no idea. Roaring Kitty seems to think that there's something involved, and so he purchased 9 million shares. Could be part of the whole merger dealy. I don't know. This is Mino Johnson, Trump 24, get the flag ready. Delusional think Harris up by 10 points, only a week, and very small sample size. I don't think you know how sample sizes work. Go take a statistics course and learn about sample sizes. Shall we look at the polls? Let's look at the polls. Let's just see what the polls are saying, because I assume the Emerson poll is probably out by now, which is the one you want to look for. This one here, I'll go to 538 since it lists all the polls. 538 presidential polls. Boom. Okay. What we got here? Come on. Okay. Outward intelligence. Harris 49-43. Harris 53-47. This is probably the binary poll and the poll that connects. Yeah, that has the others in there. So Harris up by 6. Harris up by 7. Emerson College, this is the one to look for. Emerson College, general election, Harris 48, Trump 44. 52-48 if there's no third party. And active votes has 52-48. So she's up by at least 4 across that one. YouGov 46-44, active vote 47-53. In Montana, Harris losing big in Montana. Okay, that's red state. General election, Beacon Research, Harris 49, Trump 50. So Beacon Research has Trump up by 1, but if the other ones are in there, they're tied. Quinnipiac has Harris up 50-47 and 48-45. Florida Atlantic, Florida general election. This is the close one. Look at this. So Florida Atlantic doing research has Trump up by 2, Trump up by 3, Trump up by 3, Trump up by 3, Trump up by 3 from Suffolk University. So this is what they're looking at, is that polling in Florida isn't super accurate because a lot of people don't answer their phones. A lot of people can't vote who claim they can vote. So that's really close. That's why she sent a bunch of people to Florida. Morning Consult, general election has her up. Big Village has her up. Big Village has her up. JNL Partners, Daily Mail has her down by 2. Pew Research has her up. Excuse me. Bullfinch Group has her up by almost 10 in a binary. Independent Center has her up. Franklin has her up. In Michigan, she's up in Michigan, so she's got Michigan. California, she's way up in California. Why even bother pulling California? I have no idea. But no, out of those, 9 out of 10 have her up overall. So I can't remember what your part of that bet was, but I don't think I have to worry about mine. I think I'm fine. What was I supposed to win out of this thing anyway? I don't know. Like, you doing seppuku or something? But yeah. Oh, another branch just fell. I'm out in the death zone apparently. Oh no, that's neighbor throwing bushes, I think. Okay. Phew. It sounds like you said, bro, we're doing this again. Murph and Turf, quarantine, grab some. Mr. Fibbles very cross with you. Gentlemen, life without pain has no meaning. I wish to give your life meaning. No, that's a good episode of Red Dwarf. Brilliant. Oh, shoot, there's the... T1 says, Nazis love Trump, but they think his campaign managers and others are sabotaging it. I think Trump is sabotaging. I read a thing yesterday about how his campaign staff thinks he's got PTSD from the assassination attempt and is personally, subconsciously sabotaging everything right now. Which, I mean, people do weird things when they got PTSD. So, seems possible to me. Daphne's saying that Minnow Johnson lives in a bubble. He does. Do you have any opinions on XRP? I love when people ask me about XRP. XRP will never moon. Ever. It's not designed to moon. It's designed to be as stable as possible without being like directly tied to a stable coin because it is a bank-to-bank protocol. Meaning, if you're a bank in Switzerland and you need to move a bunch of money to a bank in Mexico, you send it over with XRP, the money has moved, right? What you don't want is banks sending money over and then having the value crash a whole bunch, or banks send a bunch of money over and have it just spike in value, so you end up sending way more than you had to. So it is a very steady, it'll remain like at this and not have much going on. So if you're investing in XRP to have it moon, it just ain't going to happen. Its entire purpose is to be a fairly stable bank-to-bank protocol. So, no, nothing's happened with XRP at all. And in crypto in general, might be doomed. Namely because of who is really backing it right now. And it might be politically expedient to crush things like Bitcoin. You have the crypto bros trying to make these like freedom cities where they can sort of rule as royalty over the plebes and peasants, and they're backing Vance in the Trump campaign. You got your Peter Thiels, David Sachs, Charles Yarvin, you got these dudes like this, and Saylor at MicroStrategy. They believe democracy is evil and wrong and needs to go, and that no one should have rights except for the elite, which is them, and that you should have a caste of nobility who will rule over everyone. This is literally their philosophy. And so if you are funding a presidential campaign specifically to crash the US dollar so that your crypto becomes worth more, as a result becomes much more of a reserve currency, then your opponents logically should do what they can to crash the value of your reserve currency and wipe out your ability to defeat them. So the United States government is sitting on $14.5 billion in Bitcoin, and at any moment, Biden could be like, sell all of it and crash Bitcoin down to a couple $1,000s a coin. They haven't done it yet, but if they want to, they could at any time absolutely demolish Bitcoin. Because 97% of Bitcoin is held by 1% of wallets. It is the most lopsided investment in the entire world. Not even the stock market is that lopsided. So it's not this coin of freedom. It is the exact opposite of at the moment, where very few people control such a vast majority of those coins and will be able to dictate what society does after that if it becomes a reserve currency. So the ETF, it's being gobbled up by ETFs. Like it's decentralized. Oh, really? If a bunch of brokerages and banks now control ETFs, which control the largest wallets in the entire world, is it decentralized if that's the case? Sounds like it's pretty centralized to me. So it's very concentrated. Dave House, you're 480p. Streaming just fine. Okay. Good. And the camera seems to be less herky-jerky right now, so whatever it was happening with it seems to be doing just fine. Saying that you're too far in the forest because the stream got stuck with a loading circle. Oh, hey, buddy. What's up? How you doing? You say hi to everyone? Yeah, you say hi? Oh, boy. Yeah, you've been running around having a good time? Being a happy outside dog? Have you murdered anything? Have you killed anything recently? Yeah? You go be the death dog? Death dog extraordinaire? Okay. Daphne, Houston, where you live is a beautiful place. The forest in your backyard is beautiful. It is a great forest. It was probably even more magnificent when all the old growth was here. I think I posted pictures before of like some of the giant cedar stumps. I mean, these things are 12, 15 feet across. Absolutely nuts. And you can, and the insides are kind of rotted, so you actually can climb up and go inside of some of them and just, I don't know, put a board over top and you got a little house. Now, the red cedars out here are just gigantic. At least the stumps of them. But we have the big cedar. That's my backyard. So I was in the yard before. This guy right there. That's second growth. That thing's maybe 100 years old, maybe. But the ones that are out here are probably hundreds or thousands of years old in the past. So I like this forest. It's a good forest. I really would love to be able to get enough repeaters and do a broadcast from next to the stream. I think that'd be very relaxing. Probably covered in mosquitoes, but very relaxing. Cabo, any word on Nextbridge? No word yet, except for they've done. I think they have one more 10K that they're refiling before they're going to do the S1. And the S1 before was to do a spin-off of Nuco, which was their drilling operation. That the drilling operation would own 10% of all their holdings and then do the drilling for the wells. And my guess, and some people said I'm wrong, but my guess is that they want to spin this thing off and put it onto a blockchain market like T0. And that way, everyone who's DRS would get their blockchain one, and everyone who isn't DRS, it would be owed to them by whoever shorted the stock to them. and which would force brokers and market makers and hedge funds to go to an exchange like T0 and pay a fortune for those shares so they could distribute them to people. And if the shares are as oversold as we think, which could be upwards of 1 billion shares, that would mean they'd have to go into that market and buy each one 5 times in order to cover their short position. So seems like a way of holding a gun to the head of the SEC and be like, do what we want, resolve this, or we're going to blow you up this way. Oh crap, am I at the end of the chats already? Goodness gracious. Louis, it's fun to watch Trump make 0 sense when Harris press office trolls them to death. Cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. Hey, I can sometimes can't run a live stream in the year 2024, so I gotta, but then I don't own a tech platform. I'm a dude trying to do a stream out in the middle of the forest. So. Drew's Miami, Kim.com. Oh yeah, Kim.com is being extradited from New Zealand to the United States. He says he has a plan in place for that not to happen. I don't think he understands just what is happening to him. Kim.com committed all sorts of fraud. He's also paid by Putin, I think, to spread misinformation. And he's coming to the U.S. He's going to be facing trials. What are all of his charges? I forget all of his charges. There was a whole bunch. Kim.com charges. All right, infringement, copyright infringement, money laundering, and racketeering. Face a lengthy jail term if convicted. U.S. authorities say Mr.com and 3 mega upload executives cost film studios and music producers more than a $500 million loss. Oh yeah, he's facing problems from the studios. He's screwed. He's absolutely screwed. So he's facing extradition after 12 years. Yep, he's toast. Done. MS wants to know, will Thread or Blue Sky be bigger than X? At this point, Thread is quite big because they push everyone from Instagram and Facebook onto it. I have an account, but I haven't really used it at all. So, I've used Blue Sky more, but my large audience is on Twitter, so that's where I'll be until they kick me off again. I'll be honest, like at this point, Blue Sky has, I think, smarter, better people overall. Some really good shit posters there, but there's not much debate or conflict because the assholes haven't found their way over to it yet. So if you're looking to like scrap, it's not really a place for scrapping. So yeah, and if like in the thread, the threads in there get jumbled up due to the way that they do blocking, which I understand. Like, if I block someone, I want them not to be able to see anything I've ever responded to or people who are responding to me, right? Just leave them out. Because on Twitter, like, I can post something and someone responds to me. If that someone who responds to me hasn't blocked my stalker replies to them and is like, "You're just a piece of shit," right? And I can't do anything about that. But on Blue Sky, I say something, someone responds to me, and I have my stalker blocked. He can't see anything and can't respond to anyone in there. So they don't even know who that person's responding to. It just says, blocked user or whatever. So I get that, but it does sometimes make threads disjointed because the outsiders have no context of what's going on. They read this like block. I can't see what's going on. Yeah. Miro55 thoughts on No Labs earning yesterday. Earnings are what they are. They sold more shares. They spent a bunch of money. They're not making any money because they don't have a product to sell yet. But they're alluding to the fact that the next step for them is FDA approval, which is their goal. And I have a feeling that they're gonna be filing before the end of the year. Last year, it was alluded that they're going to try for fall of this year, and I think they're on track for that. Stu Pizdassel, Stupid asshole. Do you know anything about ICP, Internet Computer Protocol? Very little. I mean, TCP/IP, MAC addressing, I knew more years ago when I was actually like plugging computers into a wall. But yeah, I know enough to be dangerous, basically. Jason Blackwell, walls hitting Vance with couch jokes. Well played, sir. I don't think even Harris knew what a live wire walls turned out to be. What's funny is that Walls said that, like in his interview, he said his weakness was debates, but he doesn't use a teleprompter. Most of his speeches are just off the top of his head. So if in the debate he talks to the audience about what he's passionate about, I think he can do well. If he spends his time trying to like respond to a Gish Gallop from Vance, then he'll run into problems. If he just waves Vance off as some creepy weirdo and then talks about what he wants to talk about, I think he has a chance of winning those debates. Vance is really awkward in front of people. He's an awkward dude, and Walls is a little bit more folksy. You're like, oh, I don't know that guy, but I feel like I know that guy. That's how he comes across. Whereas Vance comes across like, oh, I know guys like you. that's more Vance's play there. Mr. Lasuna, Houston, any idea how long FDA approval usually takes in relation to No Lab? Let's look that up, because I know devices are faster than. Oops, that's the wrong one. I want to go there, and then we'll go here, and we'll go. How long do FDA device approvals take? Bam. 1 week and 8 months, depending on the type of application submitted. The process can vary by class of device. It may include the following steps: self-registration application, pre-market approval application. So they were doing the pre-market approval application. That's the one that they said they were working on in the call yesterday. Submission acceptance reviews within 15 calendar days. Substantive review decision 60 days, and final decision within 90 days. Okay, so because this device doesn't do anything, it is invasive, so it means just so many planes. What is going on? It's like 3 of them in a row. Just, can you fuck off already? I don't know, climb 10,000 more feet? What are you doing? Low bombs of us. So because they don't like, transfusing blood or pumping anything into the body, it's non-invasive. I expect it to go pretty quickly. They have a whole bunch of peer-reviewed, independent clinical research. They could probably submit all of that, and the FDA might be able to go, oh, this is enough, stamped. They may require them to do another FDA supervised test, just for shits and giggles. But I think if they get every other paperwork in, I think it could go pretty quick. Because it's not like drugs take a lot longer, because you have to look at side effects and all sorts of tests that happen with humans. But this is just like, yeah, hey, read your thing, cool, we're done. So I think it can go a lot faster. Back to Big Houston. Schrodinger's Jackal, H-Town. Do you subscribe to the theory that Ryan Cohn is controlled by aliens using Phil Inez protocols with a hint of sour cream? How did you know? That's exactly what I've been thinking the entire time. Jews, Miami, Newport Beach, or Seattle asking for a snowboarding friend. So, inside jokes. So, Starbucks fired their CEO, who wasn't anti-union enough, and they claimed it was because he didn't work past 6 p.m. And they hired a new CEO who lives in Newport Beach, California, who apparently doesn't work past 5:30 p.m. and refuses to relocate to Seattle, demanding that he can work from his home in Newport Beach. And so there's a tweet about how this guy works even less than the CEO they fired, but he happens to be more anti-union than the other guys, so they might be okay with it. And people are like, how the hell is he going to run this company from Newport Beach and not be in Seattle? And some guy was like, I'd rather live in Newport Beach than Seattle. And I was like, I lived in both places, and I'd rather live in Seattle. And he's like, it rains 500 days a year in Seattle. And his profile picture is him with like ski goggles on. And so I'm like, obviously you're not a skier. He's like, I snowboard. I'm like, really? Because when it rains in Seattle, that means it's snowing in the mountains. We have record amounts of snow. So if you were truly a skier, you would welcome the rain we get in the winter. Plus, look how green it is. We don't have to worry about fucking fires, right? It's just lush and green all the time because, during the winter it gets a lot of rain. But it's wintertime. It's dark anyway. Who gives a shit if it rains? You go skiing. You're happy. Yeah. All right. Gary Del Vecchio. Whoops. Okay, one sec. Got to change one. This. You're a dude outside playing a dude disguised as another dude. Okay. Where'd you go, Gary? Gary Del Vecchio. Because I believe they own most of the business in red states. Wait, what? Oh, shoot. I'm in top chat, aren't I? God damn it. I'm not in live chat. So I have people responding to each other, and I have no idea. Okay. Sorry, Gary. You think you respond to somebody, and I have no idea what is... How do I... Come on. There it is. Okay, click that. Scroll up. Gary Vecchio, how come the Trump supporters never mention that all these evil immigrants are being put to work without papers? Because I believe they own most of the businesses in red states. Well, this is the problem in Florida, was that these farmers and construction companies voted for DeSantis, who's going to crack down on immigrant labor, and then do huge fines against people and the workers if it's found that they don't have proper paperwork, which meant all the migrant immigrant laborers left Florida, which meant construction halted, which meant, melons rotted in the fields and so on. And then they went to these town hall meetings. These farmers, these town hall meetings were like, well, I understood what I vote for. I didn't think you'd actually enforce it. Right? Like, yeah. So they just, they want to talk about inflation. Inflation's out of control. Well, part of inflation is wages. And you keep wages down by employing people who aren't documented properly, employing immigrants. So if you kick all immigrants out, then you have to raise the wages to a point to attract people who aren't immigrants to work these jobs, which is going to cause costs to go up, right? And we don't have a birth rate that's high enough because things are too expensive, so people aren't having kids, which means you aren't going to be able to replenish workers, which means the cost of workers are going to go up even higher. And so the way you keep costs down and you replenish enough workers is you have a welcoming immigration policy. You can't be like, we have to have only white people here. When you make it too expensive for anyone to have babies, you're not making more white people, right? So, what are you going to do? Plus, almost every person I know who's an immigrant is fucking rad. My immigrant friends are the coolest, smartest, funniest, hardest working people I know. And I would not want to see them forcefully deported. One of my best buddies, Ricardo, he's from Ecuador. He's a U.S. citizen. And even he's scared that they're going to haul his ass to Ecuador because he wasn't naturally born here. So, if he's living in fear of that stuff, what do you think everyone else is living in fear of? I've said before, if you want to manage how much immigration comes into the country, you have to make our neighbors south of the border safe, steady, stable, right? They need to be able to live where they're from and have jobs and safety. If we're destabilizing their nations by, pumping them full of criminals, taking over their industries, overthrowing their governments, then people are going to leave because they're like, well, this sucks. I wish I could stay here, but they're trying to kill me. So I will go to America where it's safer. And then they come here. And then you go, fuck you. How dare you? Well, what would you do? You've got gangs running your streets and they're threatening to kill you and your family if you don't leave. You're going to leave. You're not going to Rambo it. They're going to fucking kill you. There's nothing you can do about it. So you're going to leave. You're going to go to wherever you can. And then when you get there, they're going to be like, fuck, these Americans keep coming here. I'll get out of here. I don't know what they'd call us, bluebacks or whatever. It just... I don't know. I just wish people had more empathy and a larger understanding of the system in place so they can see why, like, immigration is a symptom of a greater problem. And that greater problem is we make other countries around us weaker and not stronger. You know why the European Union can exist as European Union? Because they ensured that the economies of all the nations that joined were strong enough that they could take down the border and not have to worry about cross-border migration. Because, you know, you can live anywhere. It's fine. I would love for us to have a system like that in the Western Hemisphere, but we've done so much damage to other nations that, you know, we just can't. It just sucks. Green Eyed Bandit Elixir says, FYI, ICP is a crypto. I thought it was Insane Clown Posse. The Internet Protocol. All right. If Houston falls in the woods, would a bear hear him? Maybe. We have had bears. Every once in a while, bears come into my forest. All right. Okay, I'm at 4:30. I got to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. It'll probably be an indoor show because I think a storm's a-coming. So I have to haul this stuff all inside. But thank you for joining me for this lovely Thursday out in the forest. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow is with Peruvian Bowl. Duh. So Peruvian Bowl at 2:30 tomorrow, p.m. Pacific, 5:30 East Coast. I'm going to set up the show and do the invite to Peruvian Bowl as well. Thank you for reminding me, Houston. Okay. All right, everybody. I'll see you guys later. And outro.